What's up guys, Shuman here, welcome back to another video. So I finally gotten everything set up, except that poster's just a little bit, no, perfectionist, it's slightly off on the side. I will get a spirit level. I finally got my ass out of my fucking wherever the hell it's been, and I can finally sit and make videos again. I apologize for the long delay. I have been, in the last few days or weeks, just really processing, and I've realized that there's some things that you really have to go through by yourself, and that it doesn't matter how open and honest you really actually want to be. Sometimes you do have to really just, I can't take it, it's not level. Alright, okay. So over the last few weeks I've been going through a period of profound transformation whereby I basically witnessed parts of myself that I had been really relying upon to keep me basically alive for a long period of time, an old operating system. I was watching that die off, and it was parts of me that was deliberately keeping myself addicted to certain substances and really keeping myself on a constant treadmill of just trying to keep myself level. And as that died off, what basically happened was that my whole lifestyle, as it was built around maintaining those belief systems, started to be called into question. I started to doubt everything. I started to question my job. I started to question, you know, my friends, my everything, my work, my even my choice of clothes, what my habits. Everything was just called into question. And there are some things that you really can't put on YouTube and talk about, especially when certain transformations are just so extremely personal that it's actually a lot better for you to actually keep them to yourself. So this is why I've been quiet for the last few weeks. That, and I've been getting my new setup so to speak. And I've actually ordered myself a new camera. It's a Canon, it should be here on Friday. It's a Canon EOS 600D, I think. It's cost me about 200 and something pounds on eBay, which is a good thing too, because synchronicity has really been playing a key part, and this will go into the law of attraction as well, whereby my phone basically broke down around about a few days before I had this profound shift. Or was it after? I can't remember. The last few weeks have been so chaotic. But my phone broke down around about the same time when I had the shift, and I was basically plunged into a situation whereby well, first of all, it was a very profound experience not to actually have a phone, which is a video in and of itself, but also because it allowed me to really focus in and basically say, like, it's basically God basically saying, like, hey, you better actually, you know, get out all the annoying voices and just focus on yourself. And I became very selfish, and I blocked out everyone. It wasn't even like intentional, but I think this was a real synchronous moment for me to just really work on myself. And the good thing too, because like I said, the last 2 weeks have been an absolute emotional roller coaster, and I finally got myself out to a point where now I can properly articulate what I've gone through. It's time to get back on the videos again. And now that my setup is also up and I've got my grinching up, it's no excuse. So on the topic of transformation, because I've started this video without any sort of notes, I'm just freestyling, which I'm still need to get used to, and I probably need to do a video about being open and honest and freestyling anyway. I wanted to talk about the subject of transformation because I have dreamed of this moment for a long period of time, and this is the moment where after a decade I can finally sit and tell myself I'm there. I have arrived at the place that over 10 years ago, I swore that I would reach. That would be to be quote unquote normal. That is to live a life without all of these crazy annoying problems and fears and all this other stuff. And what I didn't realize is that as I had gone through and as I had experienced this for such a long period of time, it became my normal. It just became normal for me to have all these, you know, other mental and physical issues. It became normal for me to experience grinding amounts of anxiety to the point where I could barely interact with people without having 101 different masks, and then being so socially drained, so emotionally drained, that I'd end up smoking, drinking, and doing drugs. That was just normal for me. And so now that that's gone, it's like, well, now what do I do? Because it's different from, say, for example, if I'd started this if I was like 20 or 25 or something like that, because I would have known what normal was. Now it's like I have to learn what it's like to be quote unquote normal. I needed to be use air quotes, to live a life without anxiety and to live a life that is free and happy. And I'm trying to. I don't like sitting and saying I'm awesome. I feel awesome, but quite frankly, I feel fucking 1,000,000% amazing right now, and it is a feeling that I have not had consistently for a long period of time. So I'm trying to figure out, what do I do with this? Because when you get so focused on just wanting to be better, when you are actually better, it's like, well, what the hell do I focus on now? I haven't had anything to really sit and really, you know, be like, okay, I built a foundation on something, so let's just return to that foundation now that I'm back. No. And it's a great thing too, because what I've realized quite spiritually is that I was never meant to live a normal life. I was never meant to live a life that everyone else was living. I was meant to have a life that would basically disconnect me from what everyone else was doing, so that I could really work on myself and I I tell you, I've been red pilled to so many issues over the last few years, and now everything is really coming to the fore. I am glad that I, quite frankly, went through this whole path. This is one of those moments where you sort of sit back and think, I am glad that everything that has happened to me, because the life that I would have lived if I hadn't been sick, quite frankly, I do not want to live that. Because most likely, I would have lived a life that was boring, mediocre. I would have lived a life that is a lie, working for some boss that didn't really care about me, in a system that basically doesn't care about me, and ending up with money to buy stuff for no reason other than to perpetuate the lies and all this other bullshit. Basically, everything is a lie. What I've realized over the last few, well, what I've already known, but it's just come to the fore, everything is upside down. And I'm glad that I had the time, that fate has taken me out of that loop to allow me to really work on myself. And one of the main lessons that it taught me is about transformation and what real transformation is. Because people like to talk about the fact that, oh, one day I'll be better and everything will change. And I had all these illusions about how one day I had a perfect picture of what my life would be like, my ideal life. But I didn't realize that all I was doing was I was taking all those bullshit belief systems that I picked up from everything else in my culture and saying, if only I had that, and then projecting it into my future, and then using that projection to denigrate my past, like saying, oh, I am not this, if only I could be this, then my, if only I could achieve that future, then my present wouldn't suck so much. And then when I get there, I realize that actually no, like that would suck anyway. Like this idea of change, it's nothing compared. You have no idea just how amazing your life can be. And we sit and we think, oh, my life would be amazing if I had this. No. God, I'm going to use the word God. Fate, instead. I'm going to use the word fate. Fate has a better plan for you. A plan that is so amazing that you cannot even conceptualize it. That's how amazing it is. Your life can be so, if you pursue personal development, if you follow your passion, the life that you will live is so awesome. It is beyond your realm of conception. That is what I have realized. I could never imagine that my life could be like this, that I could be so free in my own body and my own prospects. Yes, I'm not a millionaire or whatever, but the blinkers have been taken off. The path has been laid, and I can see what's ahead of me, and it is quite frankly amazing. And it puts the decade or so of pain, of isolation, of everything into perspective, and I'm glad I did it. And honestly, I am not one of those people that would probably, you get loads of people that sort of sit there and say, oh, if I could relive the life again, I'd do all this again. Fuck no. No, I would not do all this again. I think I change a few things, definitely, but I would not live this again. I'd probably do something different, because what's the point doing the same thing again anyway? But anyway, this is my main thing, is that a word of advice to people who really want to change, and this is a bit of a pet peeve of mine. People want to change, but they don't. People want change, but they don't want to change. People don't want to let go. It's like I said in my previous video, or I started to say, if you really want to transform, something has to die. Those belief systems that you have, that, oh, my life will be so amazing if I had this. Not saying they all have to go, but the chances are you have to be willing to drop it like that. You have to be willing to say, I don't need that. I can just drop it and walk away. And anything that you cannot, right now, drop and walk away from, controls you. Or that includes your belief systems, that includes your ideals and your goals. If you cannot drop it and walk away, you are controlled by it. And that doesn't mean that it's bad. Again, that does not mean that it is bad, but what you will find is I just said this to myself, speaking for myself, the biggest obstacle to my transformation was not acknowledging the fact that I needed help, and was allowing myself to get into this narcissistic mindset whereby I keep myself cloistered and that I had to take on a whole burden for myself. Because this sort of goes back to me, if I could turn back time, is that I wish that I didn't basically try and think that I could do this all by myself. And this is a common thing that people do, and especially if they grow up with having a very narcissistic and neurotic upbringing, is that they take on all the world's problems, including their own, onto their own shoulders, and they shut out everyone else, and they think that their journey is so special and so amazing, not realizing that there are actually people who have gone through relatively similar things than you and can help you. Now, obviously, no one has gone through the same thing that you have, and no one is more qualified to advise you about your life than you. But it's very easy to slip into this narcissistic mindset whereby you basically wall yourself off, and you occasionally meek out to the fortress to be like, give me change, I want to change. And so, but instead of actually getting out of the fortress. You want to drag things into this fortress, and you want to be like, ah, yes, now I'm going to work on myself. And you hear, you close the doors, and you hear this hammering and sawing, and you come out and say, no, I've changed, but you haven't changed anything. You're still in the same place, but you've just got a funny hat, if that makes any sense. And so people don't change because they wall themselves off, and they want to bring things into this little walled conception of, of who they want to be, of the pain that they have endured. And people wear their pain like a badge, like a badge of honor, which is what I used to do. It's like, oh, look at me, I've suffered so much in my trials and my tribulations, and no one will understand, and all this other stuff. And it's like, look, that was the biggest obstacle for me, was breaking free of that narcissistic mindset. And this is what came down to the big transformation for me, is that I realized that I didn't need to keep medicating myself. And I medicated myself with food, with drugs, with all this other stuff. I say drugs, but when I say drugs, I mean, I'm going to stop saying that word because YouTube is an absolute crap show, and I've probably been demonetized for this already. But not that I'm earning that much money from this video anyway, but still, it's like food, like sugar, like I said this again, gluten morphine, casein morphine. This stuff is morphine. We are morphine dust. We are numbing ourselves with food. We like to think, oh, it's just what humans do. It's not. We are being fed drugs, and we are feeding ourselves drugs to keep ourselves numb. Screw demonetization. It'll probably be demonetized. But we are feeding ourselves and numbing ourselves, and this is what I was doing. And I was doing it because I was still holding on to this ideal that I'm in so much pain, and there's all these problems, and I've got to, and no one will understand me. Oh, all this pain, I've got to medicate myself. And yes, I was in a lot of pain. I'm not putting someone's pain down for a single second. But what I didn't realize was that I was numbing myself, and I was refusing to face my fears. And if I had faced my fears earlier, that is to say, to let more people in my life, I would have realized that I am not so alone, and that I could get help, real help, and be honest. But it was difficult because I had tried that again and again and again, and was shut down from it. So I walled myself in, and that part of myself had to die, and that is what died. It died. And since then, I haven't needed to drink. I haven't needed to, like I told you about it in my previous video. I hadn't need to touch any, like, I had fasted for 60 days. I had fasted, I had cleansed, and I always had this negative self-limiting thing whereby I cleansed to a certain point, and then I'd self-sabotage myself, and I'd start drinking and smoking again, and I'd be right back to day one. And the reason why I did that was because I needed to hold on to that, because if I kept myself sick, then I would receive the love and the attention that I never got as a kid. And this may seem very, very specific, but you have to be very, very specific. That was the reason, that was the psychology that was operating in me, that was still keeping me drinking, smoking, eating continuously, addicted to sugar, unfit, all this other stuff, mentally full of pain and anger. It all came back to that, and it all unwound, and all of a sudden, I haven't had a drink, I'm still fasting, I don't have any cravings for anything, and I feel great. And it's been a roller coaster. I dreamed of this moment, but it was nothing that I expected. Like, true healing, true transformation, get all these bullshit ideas about, I just want to add things to myself, and that's what people want. You just want to add things to yourself. It doesn't work like that. Anyway, that's what we're going to say for today. I have one more day of work. I've got a nearly 12-hour day tomorrow. So I've got to get that out of the way, and I've got a 2-week holiday, and I'm planning to just thrash out YouTube videos, and including NoFap. I'm on day 100 and it's 100 and something. I need to do a video. I also need to do like a day NoFap video. I'm still fasting, so I'm probably I'm probably breached 90. I don't even know where I am right now because it's just been such a roller coaster. But look forward to that in the coming few days. I've been talking too long. Freeman out. See you later.